Hey guys, it's Kevin again. I know what you guys are saying. The angle looks a little bit different. Why does the angle look so different here? Well, I actually, if I am in my room right now, I did remodel my room a little bit. As you can see, I put my Blu-rays over here. I moved some, stuff around, basically, all week long. That's what my family has been doing. So I remodeled some stuff a little bit, and basically now my computer is now on this desk. I have a desk now, which is really good, and so from now on, all the reviews are probably going to be in front of this desk, which I really like. But this is going to be my review for the, never mind about that. This is going to be my review for The Missing Season 1, Episode 7, Return to Eden. And finally, I got my TV shows back, finally. Only for 2 more episodes, though, because this is on for 2 more episodes, and then it's gone, so. But this was by far the best episode of the season. By far. Because this felt like a penultimate episode. This is what a penultimate episode should do. I mean, crazy, crazy things happened in this episode. And I loved everything about this episode. I thought this episode was just huge. I loved everything about it. As I said, by far best episode of the season. I just loved it. I thought it was a great episode, and just, wow, a great episode. Let's just get to this episode, though, because I really liked it. Now, one of the things I really liked this episode did was it furthered the tension of the show. Because in the beginning of this episode, we see this mother, basically. And we don't know her purpose. We don't know why she's there. We don't really know what her role is going to be in this show. We don't really know who she is. And, of course, we find out that she is this woman, Danielle. And, of course, they're back to that formula of introducing new characters in the beginning of each episode. But there's this woman, Danielle, and her kids are returning from this soccer game. And there's this man that comes up to her and speaks to Danielle. And he tells her that she was right and he wants to make it up to her. Now, what they're talking about is not important. It's not important. We don't focus on their characters. What we focus on is that she ends up looking into the car and her son Alex is gone. So now there's more people that have had disappearances happen to them. Not only has Oliver disappeared, now this boy Alex has disappeared. So clearly, and then we find out this is actually 3 years later after Oliver's disappearance. So clearly what's going on here is whoever kidnapped Oliver is still out there, and clearly this is somehow connected to that. And I thought that was the perfect way to start the episode. I love that. And now let's get to probably my favorite thing about this episode. I really like that part, but my favorite thing about this episode is, as of course I've said, we have yet to see Zion in the past. In the present. We have had yet to see him. We've seen him a lot in the past. We haven't seen him at all in the present. And of course, in the penultimate episode, we focus heavily on Zion. And when I say we focus heavily on Zion, we focus heavily on him. Like, this episode was extremely Zion-centric. Because Tony, Emily, and Julian are actually interrogating Zion. And obviously, Julian's kind of is pretty pissed at him. Because, of course, we now know that Zion is the reason why Julian can't walk as well. Why his one leg doesn't work. So, and really, he says that it's Zion's fault that this case has remained unsolved. It really is Zion's fault because, Zion shot Julian, and we find out that because of that, basically, as a result, Julian, that's why he stopped working on the case. He didn't stop working on the case because of Tony. That's not why. He stopped working on the case because he was injured, and his wife was basically pressuring him to get out, so he got out. That's why he quit. And I thought that was actually a very good twist. I definitely really enjoyed that. And I thought that was very well done. So, basically, now, Julian says, Julian says that it's his fault, and he asks if he stayed on the investigation, would he have found the boy? Zion asks that. And he says he'll never know, because now he's gone. So Zion said he had no choice, he could not let them see that file, because that's what it was all about. Julian wanted to see the whole Charlemagne file. Now, he's calling him by that last name, Charlemagne. And, Zion's like, why are you calling me by that? And after, basically, after everything Zion has done for Malik turned him in. Now, it really does make sense why Malik turned him in. I mean, Malik really, he's working with them. Okay, we know that. We know that Malik is working with them. We know that, yeah, he was hiding something, but was definitely working with them. Definitely. Because, here's the thing. Malik is a journalist. He's trying to find out more about this disappearance. So obviously Malik is working with them. You can just tell in this episode that, yeah, he was. Basically, the reason he's here is because he was seen at the pool when Oliver was taken, and he saw something and put it into an evidence bag. This is basically their last suspect, because they've tried Vincent, they've tried, they tried Ian years ago, so Zion really is their last suspect, and, they got nothing out of that one guy. I don't even remember his name, because he was such a, the last episode was like 2 weeks ago, so I don't even remember his name, but basically, when Oliver was taken, he put something into an evidence bag, and yet he never submitted anything into evidence, and Julian doesn't really understand why he didn't do that. So, now, Zion claims he doesn't remember what it was, and he says they have a witness and asks if he is listening to him, and Tony tells him someone saw him, and Emily asks what he took. Now, and I like what Emily says here. She says something that means nothing to him means everything to them. And I agree with what she's saying. I mean, there are little things that could mean nothing to him. Like, for example, the monkey drawing. Not a lot of people are going to look at that monkey drawing and think of it as anything. They're not going to think of it as that big of a deal. However, Emily is going to think of it as a big deal. Because, one, that's her son. Two, that's her son. Two, she cares about Oliver more than anything. And, their main thing right now is to find Oliver. That's what their main thing is right now. So, basically, Tony feels that he has concealed evidence. And, basically, Zion comes up with some of the stupidest bullshit I've ever heard. Like, I don't even believe what Zion said was true. I didn't believe him. So, Zion finally starts talking and says that they must bring his son to see him. I'm like, son? What are we talking about? We haven't heard about his son. And if they do that, he will tell them what they wish to know. Now, everyone's outraged. Tony feels he has concealed evidence that has stopped them from seeing Oliver. And Julian says he cannot compel his son if he does not want to. And Zion tells him to try because that is the only way they will get him to talk. So he gives him the address of the college in which his son, Anor, is taking, and that's basically the college that his son's at, and they need to go find that address. But then things kind of change a little bit, and this was very interesting when this happened. I'm like, okay, this is kind of interesting. And I'm like, this is definitely very interesting, because Tony gets a call from Malik. Now, Malik knows what happened to his son. He says, I have evidence on what happened to his son. And I'm like, really? Already? This is the penultimate episode. We're gonna find out now? Like, I was like, okay, maybe we're gonna find out this episode. Here's what my impression, what I thought they were doing, is that we were gonna see what happened to Oliver in this episode, and the next episode would be like a rescue mission, basically. I thought that's what it was gonna be. But that's not really what it is. He has Vincent on record saying he attacked him, he broke into his flat, and told him about the violence, that Tony attacked Ian, and how he attacked Greg, and he says these assaults establish a pattern of violence, and his knowledge that Ian was a pedophile, well, that motive was established, and he thinks that Ian actually killed Oliver. Now, Tony's saying that this can't be possible, because the police cleared him. But Malik, I do like his point here. He says, how did he not, he'd not know that when he killed him. The only reason that Ian was cleared was because he was killed and there was no more charges against him. That's why he was cleared, because they basically thought he committed. Because remember, Tony staged as a suicide. So, and I like that, as I said, one of the things that I definitely love that they're trying to show now is that things you do in your past do affect you. And this is finally starting to affect Tony. It's all just boiling up. And I think this is very well done. Now, Tony's saying that this can't be possible. The police clear him. He said he didn't know that when he killed him. With his other statement, he can make the clear implication, since he's a parent, any other parent will understand, but only if he tells his side of the story. So we go back to the past. That was definitely a very interesting thing there. I was very interested in seeing where that's going to go. So then we go back to the past, and we see Julian and Celia. He's kind of teasing her about his bees and everything. This is after Julian has decided to quit being on the police and everything. Now, she doesn't understand his obsession, and he tells her about all the advantages the bees give them, and she tells him to come inside and sit down, have something to eat. They see a report on the TV about Alex's disappearance, and she asks if it has anything to do with the Oliver Hughes case. and he says he's not sure. She asks if he has called Laurence to make sure, make sure someone is still taking control, because she wants someone to still be able to be, she cares about this case, but what she cares about the most is her husband's safety. And she even tells him, no case means anything more to her than having him safe and well with her. That's what matters to her. And I think really, Celia is a great wife. She really is a great wife to him. I mean, she does care about the case. Again, she does care about this case, but she doesn't want her husband to get hurt. So he tells her he still has one good leg, and he doesn't miss it at all. And I thought that was a very well done scene. So Emily's then taking a pill, and the doorbell rings, and she calls Tony over and asks him if he could get it. And she gets up, and she asks if he talked to Peter, and he says no. She tells him if he keeps his mouth shut, they will have to let him go. He looks at the newspaper and sees an article about Alex's disappearance, and I thought this was well done, definitely, when we saw this, because it's showing how they all reacted to this disappearance. Then we see Zion, and now we see a sonogram, and I'm like, oh, we're making connections here, because of course we heard before Zion had a son, so now we're finding out that no, he wasn't lying, he does have a son. They don't know, though, if they should keep it or not, so it makes sense why Zion wants to see his son. Clearly, I was under the impression that he doesn't really have a good relationship with him. So he then sees the article about Alex's disappearance, and Mark says that, basically, Tony's saying, oh, this can't be a coincidence, it has to be connected, and they need to look up more about the case, pretty much. That's basically what's going on there. So I thought that was very, very interesting, what happened there. Definitely, I really enjoyed that. Okay. Okay, what happened after that? I'm sorry, I'm reading two different recaps here. Okay. So, Tony and Emily's reaction to the news are telling of their, fundamental approaches to life after Oliver's disappearance. We kind of get to see what their life is. Emily's grateful that the couple hasn't actually had their child taken from them, while Tony's disappointed that their new lead turns out to be a ruse. And Emily accuses Tony, because apparently it was actually a fake kidnapping. Basically what happened was the boy's own father kidnapped him, staging it to look similar to Oliver's disappearance. Why? Because he was going to lose custody of the boy, and that's what that couple was talking about. And I'm like, okay, that's what their conversation was all about. And I thought that was an extremely well done scene. I really love that, because I just thought that was very, very well done. I definitely really enjoyed that. I thought that definitely was very well done. I definitely really loved what they did there. So Tony and Emily's reaction to this news, Emily's grateful, but Tony is upset because he thought this could be another clue to where Oliver is, but now he knows that it's all fake. They was all basically just, it was a joke. It wasn't a real disappearance. So Emily accuses Tony of giving up on rebuilding a life worth living, and Tony accuses Emily of giving up on finding Oliver, and Emily accuses Tony of being an alcoholic, while Tony accuses Emily of popping pills to forget the past and cover her pain, which kind of makes sense because we saw her taking pills before, and I'm like, why is she taking pills? I thought she was taking pills because of, like, anxiety or something, but no, he thinks that she is taking those pills to forget about the pain, and they realize that they're both doing each other more harm than good, and they decide to get a divorce. They get a divorce in this episode, and you can see that you could definitely see that coming. I mean, their marriage was crumbling, their marriage was not good, and of course we know that Emily and Mark just got so much closer and everything. So in the present, though, Tony and Emily, they're reconnecting over drinks. Now that this was a very well-done scene, I like that now it's kind of the opposite. Now we're seeing that the present is actually the happier time when the past is the very, sad time. So Emily talks about how he's, that he's been spending a lot of time with Julian, and it's good for him. And she tells Tony that it's, basically an insight that I really hadn't noticed before, but it's certainly true. I do agree with what she's saying. I mean, it really has made Tony a better person. I mean, Julian's been able to get Tony to control his anger more. There's a scene where Tony is, about to explode, but Julian holds him back a little bit, and I think I definitely agree with Emily saying that Julian's actually helping Tony with his anger problems, so I thought that was very well done. Now, basically, Tony concedes that he pushed Emily away, he couldn't even see her anymore, and Emily admits that she and Mark actually called off their wedding, and that she often wonders whether trying to build a new family with Mark was just her way of covering up the pain of losing her old one. And on the night she lost Oliver, she didn't just lose, basically she feels that on the night she lost Oliver, she lost Tony too, and I completely agree with what she's saying, because Tony wasn't himself, really. He was not really Tony. He was more just a guy who wasn't really... I mean, really, what happened with him was that he really just focused so much on, getting Oliver back that he didn't even focus much on his marriage. So I do agree with what Emily is saying there, that she feels she lost Tony too. And you can definitely see that they are definitely starting to reconnect. And I was very happy to see this, because I wasn't sure... I don't see the show ending happily. I'm going to say that right now. I don't really see the show ending happily. I do, however, see their marriage ending happily. I do want to see the two of them, I do want to see them have a good marriage, get back together. I do want to see that stuff happen for them. And I definitely see that in their future. It's going to be interesting to definitely see what ends up happening there. I'm definitely looking forward to that. That's going to be interesting. But, I thought that scene was very well done. I definitely really, really enjoyed that. That was really well done. So, and I definitely agree with what Emily said there. Okay. So, then what happens is that, basically, her entire life, basically, Tony's listening to her in her entire life. It makes it seem, more warm and everything. And this is the first time we've really seen Tony and Emily, truly relying on each other for support. Because before, it just seems like they've gone their own separate ways to deal with this grief, but finally they're coming together, and I think it's very well done that we saw that, and I hope they keep this hope alive. I thought that was very, very well done. Honestly, this show is not a show about hope, but we actually finally see it, and that was just great. I loved what happened there. So, now, the other thing we have to remember, though, so they actually end up kissing in the snow, and yeah, it's kind of cheesy, but they're reconnecting, so it really does make sense why they went for the sweet element. We don't get a lot of sweet elements on the show, so to have that in there, it did not feel out of place. It actually felt like it made a lot of sense, because, I mean, they really are just relying on each other. So, very end of the episode, we then realize that, yeah, this is the second to last episode of this season. Because we know the show's returning, but it's going to be a completely different story. So, of course, now they're going to kill off characters. So, Zion's son finally agrees to come see his dad in prison. He wasn't agreeing at first. But right as he arrives with Tony and Emily, another inmate stabs him to death, and Zion is dead. So, obviously, they have lost hope, because that was the last person that could have helped them. But Mark has proof that Malik is hiding the mysterious evidence, and he makes Malik a deal. And I thought this was very interesting what he said. Basically, the deal is he won't send him to prison for obstruction of justice if he hands over the evidence. Now, thankfully, he agrees, but here's what it is. It's a blood-strained sobriety coin. Now, we saw one of these a couple episodes ago when the hotel owner, Sylvie, showed her 20-year-old sober husband's coin to Emily or Tony. So, basically, Sylvie seemed like she was a very nice person, and, she's a hotel owner. So now they're making us think Sylvie could have taken Oliver. That could definitely see that happening. I mean, it's a reminder, she said it's a reminder of how proud he made me that day, but it's not Sylvie that they're making us think kidnapped Oliver. They're making it think it's Elaine, it's Elaine, her husband Elaine, and that's what they made us think, basically. So, did he take Oliver? That's where we left off. That's what we're thinking, and that's really what this episode made us think, is that Elaine took Oliver. So, did they solve the mystery? Is there something else going on here? I personally feel that it's not that simple. I really feel it's not that simple. I mean, we have one episode to go. I don't think they're going to find Oliver. I really don't. I've said it before. I honestly do not think that they are going to find Oliver. It's taken them this long to find Oliver. Clearly, they would have found Oliver by now. They would have. I mean, clearly there's something else going on here. I honestly feel there is something else going on. Now, let me talk about the stuff I love about this episode. One of the things I love, as I said, was I love finally seeing Zion get something to do in the present. That's something I've been wanting to see all season long, and we finally got it, and I'm so happy we got this. But again, what I love is the hope. I do like that they're starting to give us hope about this episode, and that's something that this show hasn't really given us, and I like this episode really did start to give us that. The thing with the kidnapping I thought was very interesting. I'm kind of wondering if there's something that has to do with that with Oliver. Maybe he was taken from maybe the person that kidnapped him is someone we didn't even know. Maybe it is connected to that family. You never really know in the show. They always try to surprise you, and I like about that's one of the things I love about the show, is that's very unpredictable. I never predicted that the hotel owner would be part of this, but it really does make sense because of that coin. But my thing is, I don't think it's that simple. I definitely feel there's something else going on. Do you feel Tony and Emily are going to get back together? I could definitely see it happening. I really want to see them get back together. Oh, I forgot to say also, in the present, Laurence was the one who took over that case, who was focusing on that case. She was the one that was going to be a part of that case. So, I forgot to say that. I forgot to say that, though. I forgot to say, I don't know why, but I forgot to say that. But I thought this was a very well done episode. I really like the flashbacks that now we are 3 years later, because that's when things start to get very crucial, and I like that. I like the time jump, definitely. I like seeing, what happened to Zion and everything. Now, is this deal with Malik gonna work? Is Malik going to agree to this deal with Mark? Obviously, he gave him that evidence, but is something else gonna happen between Mark and Malik? I don't know. We did see Vincent in this episode. We did see him. Is Vincent gonna talk to, do you think that maybe, Malik's theory is true? I don't know. I mean, according to Mark, Malik is, is hiding, that evidence, obviously. So, why is Malik hiding that evidence? Maybe Malik was the one who kidnapped Oliver. Maybe he was the one who murdered him. I don't know if Oliver's murdered. I don't know. I could definitely see it being a possibility, but you never really know on this show. But that's basically my review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Loved this episode. And finally, I have a TV review to do, and I'm very happy about that. But I'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for my review of the series premiere of Gallivant. I can't wait for that. I will be reviewing that for you guys tomorrow. Actually, no, it'll probably be for a movie review, because I want to watch a movie tomorrow, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.